Are we on? I was could you hear me say good evening and then it started? I didn't even know what was happening. We had this brand new intro and that was really cool. So I'm just sharing the show. You know how we do. I'm gonna share it on TikTok. We're gonna share it in some groups on Facebook. Please feel free to just hang out with us. We're having a good time. Just gotta share, sharing some stuff. Tonight we are talking about taking yourself on a solo date. I'll introduce myself in a moment, but I just want to make sure that I share I'll tell you what, Cece, my cell phones have been really acting up. It's very temperamental, but what are you going to do? So tonight we're going to talk about taking yourself on a solo date. And you are watching The Barbershop on WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host, Dr. Christopher Salute. We're hanging out. We have just finished the boy and girl thing, which was a lot of fun. Cece and I talked a bit about ghosting. It's a topic that is definitely, it's kind of near and dear to me because I've been ghosted a little bit more recently. I've not really ghosted so much. I'm definitely an effective communicator, or I try to be. Sometimes I over-communicate. Sometimes I communicate a bit too much, but that tends to be where we're at. So something really cool happened during our last show. The dateology coach came on, and that was really cool. I really enjoyed, just having them come on to our show. I hope, and Cece, maybe you can, attest to this, but I was actually just complaining about dates that I had gone on, which is not my entire show. But typically, when I talk about something I've experienced, I'll talk about, why it worked, why it didn't work, all that kind of stuff. And that tends to be how I coach as well. So tonight we're going to talk about going on a solo date. You're watching The Barbershop. This show is brought to you by the Whimsy app. This show is also brought to you by That Professor Life Coaching, as well as Bold Media, which is a subsidiary of Bold Holdings. We own Fabby Plus Magazine, Bold Magazine, Strutter Magazine, as well as a couple of other networks. So super excited to start the show tonight. What's going on with me? Picking up on life coaching, really excited about that. Please do reach out to me if you're in need of coaching, and I've got packages for everybody. I've got an OnlyFans account. I've got a Snapchat account. I've got regular traditional coaching. Feel free to reach out. A lot of fun. Still trying to wind down Bold. We're going to do our last big issue, and then I'll be selling that soon. The network's really growing. Super excited. We're almost done with our media kit, so come see us about some advertisements. And something exciting, I just met with Neil. If you were watching Neil's show recently, what do we call it, CC? The pub, right? Neil was just on the pub, and the pub is kind of like the barbershop, just, having some guy talk. And what we decided for his new app, which is about travel, right? It's about travel and enjoying certain parts of certain cities. He's starting it in Vegas. Neil and I are going to do, maybe we'll put it on TikTok for a second. Neil and I are going to, we're going to do all you can drink mimosas one morning. And it's going to be Britain versus the US. And we're going to wear t-shirts, British and US t-shirts. And we're going to drink each other silly for 2 hours and see who could drink more. Now, this is going to be a biased, good evening, Evil Tomato. This is going to be biased as heck because I am not a drinker, not even close. And Neil is British. So like by nature, he's a drinker. So he's going to wipe me under the table. I think what you're going to want to tune in for to that YouTube video, we'll do it live, is the stuff that comes out of my mouth, right? Like after a couple of drinks, because I don't drink. If it was an eating contest, I'd wipe the floor with them. So what's going on with the network? Super excited. We've got some new talent that we brought in. Please do watch our show, support our new talent. Super excited. And you know what? If you've got some men in your life who would like to comment and engage, please feel free to send them in. I love getting comments from our female listeners. It really is insightful. But, tell some of your male friends to join as well. We want to have, some even, some kind of even comments as well. Before we get started, I like to take either a prayer or moment of silence for somebody special in your life. So let's do that, and then we'll jump into today's topic. Okay. So that's just, if you have somebody in your life that you want to think about, that's definitely who we think about when we're taking that moment of silence. So we're going to talk a bit about the solo date, dating yourself. Why is it important? To me, it's important, and feel free to chime in if you want to comment. to me, the solo date is super important for so many reasons. I think it's important that we get comfortable enjoying, dinner, movies, shows by ourselves. But I don't just want to enjoy those activities by ourselves. When I say solo date, right, I don't mean going out alone, right? You can go get a drink at a bar alone. You can go shopping by yourself. You can go eat lunch with a book or whatever. That's not how I define a solo date. And if you define a solo date differently, you talk to me about that. Tell me what you think. But I define a solo date a little bit differently. When I say solo date, I mean getting yourself dressed in something nice, right? So even when I do my show, for a couple of months, I was kind of wearing a t-shirt and shorts. You couldn't see the bottom, right? I wasn't wearing, I wasn't really taking it seriously. I wasn't putting on cologne, right? Now, even though it's just me in the booth or whatever you want to call it, right? I am getting myself ready for success and for to have integrity, right? For an intimate conversation with some friends, right? And so that to me is super important. So I would treat a solo date the same way, right? We're not talking about just going out to dinner. We're not talking about going to see a movie. When I say going on a solo date, what I mean is really making an effort the same way you would go on a date, right? The anticipation, getting ready, taking the time out to enjoy that activity, right? Also, putting your cell phone and devices away, right? Truly enjoying some time, kind of with yourself, that kind of stuff. Why do I think it's relevant that we do this? Well, there's a lot of things, and feel free, chime in if you've had an experience, chime in if you think it's important. Shoot, chime in if you don't think it's important, right? Tell me if you don't think. Here's why I think it's important. A couple of threefold, right? Number one is making sure that you depend on yourself before you depend on somebody else for, that comfortable feeling, right? That feeling of comfort, validation, all that good stuff, right? We'll talk a little bit more about that towards the end. Number two is I think it's good practice, right? Good practice in, just kind of treating yourself the way you'd want to treat yourself, right? So if I practice on a solo date, right, and I get myself dressed and I feel good and I spray some cologne on or perfume, right, and I do my hair the right way and I shave whatever I'm going to shave. And I mean this, like, take care of yourself before you go out, right? It'll get me in the same kind of mode that I'm in when I go on a date with somebody, right? So that's super important. And the third thing that I think is, super valuable is, getting yourself out of the house, getting yourself out of maybe a holding pattern of spending time alone, in a, how do I say this? In like a boring way, right? So, think about it like this, right? If every time you're alone, you're reading a book at home or watching Netflix, and every time you're out, you're with someone, what's that going to tell you, right? Who are you going to associate good times with? In my opinion, and I'm not a clinician, I'm just a guy who has some ideas, but you're going to associate the good vibes that you've got with going out with that person versus when you spend time alone, you're not so happy, you're not really enjoying it so much, that kind of stuff, right? So Moni says, OMG, yes, but I don't know where to go. Oh, we're going to talk about that. So join our show in a little bit. We're going to move the show over. For those who don't know where the show is, because we're going to move it over to our platform in a second, you can go right on my Shoreby account, which is right on my TikTok and right on my Instagram. You can find the YouTube links. You can also find the Facebook link, and you see it live right there. Or, just go on Google or go on YouTube and search my full name, Christopher Salute, and solo date or dating yourself, and you'll see that information. But definitely find it, because we're going to talk about where to go, how to experience it. We're going to talk about what the experts say in a little bit. So super excited to talk about that. But on that note, that is our 10-minute mark. We're going to be saying goodbye to TikTok. I love all the comments. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate all of your energy. Go check out my Shoreby, and you'll see the rest of the show, okay? Evil Tomato says yes and no. I enjoy my own company at home. Spending time on my hobbies is my joy. I can agree with that. I guess what I want to say is there are other ways to enjoy yourself as well, but I can appreciate that. All right, folks, I'll see you all on the next link, and enjoy the rest of the show. And if not, enjoy the rest of your night. All right, so we're going to end our TikTok. You know how we do there. Oh, got some good engagement. Oh, 21 viewers. My goodness. Look at all the folks we had. I love it. And then we're going to head up over to Instagram, which I also love. I'm going to talk a bit about enjoying your solo date. You know, while I do this, you know, I want to just thank everybody for coming on, for you know, for engaging. You know, feel free to comment. I love hearing you know, I love hearing from folks, right? And actually hearing your opinion. I'm not Cece, the doyen of relationships, right? Let's see, when's the last time you dated yourself? We'll do that, and we'll put it up on Instagram, and then we'll be ready to roll. Okay, so let's go live. Cool. So, you know, but feel free, comment, tell us what's going on. Mana says it's important for me because if I don't like talking to myself or taking myself out on a date, then it's hard to want to go on dates with someone else. See, I agree with that. When you're comfortable, Mana, thank you. When you're comfortable taking yourself out on a date, right? I think it breeds kind of a comfort level that you have with other folks, right? So I think that's super important. So once you start dating yourself, like going on solo dates, you'll realize that there are other ways in which you can enjoy dating, right? But to me, and that's, you know, I push back a little bit on that one comment. If you're just joining us, we're talking about dating, going on dates by yourself. I pushed back on that one comment just for a smidge because somebody had said, look, I don't need to go on a solo date, right? I enjoy my time at home doing my crafting and whatever. And there, look, I can appreciate that 1000%. No, Chico says, "What's up, Chris? We at Springs as we speak. I wish I was with you guys. I'll tell you what happened. Unfortunately, my darn work schedule just got totally messed up, and I couldn't make it. Long story. I'm transitioning positions, but so we wound up. We were talking about the solo date idea, and this woman says, "Well, I enjoy my time alone, doing my crafting and enjoying, you know, my hobbies." And to which I replied, "I totally agree with that." 100%. But what I don't want to do is get into this habit, right? Of, I don't know, getting into this habit of like, hey, when I'm at home, I am by myself, just kind of doing my own thing. When I'm out, I'm having this good time at dinner, right? Timmery says, dating yourself also helps you realize you are enough. It reduces the nerves around actual dates. Love that. We're going to talk a bit about that in a second as well. So that's what I think are super important parts of kind of dating yourself. So let's talk about this for a second. I had a really hard time. I'm going to be honest. In every show, and Cece knows this, you're behind the scenes, Cece, I have a really hard time. You know, I was trying to find movies and TV shows that kind of revolve around or have scenes about going on solo dates. Everyone knows, if you've watched my show before, that I try to pick out a movie, I try to pick out a TV show that revolves around the topic or includes the topic. So if we're talking about abuse, I'll have movies that have abuse in them. If we're talking about toxicity, I'll have movies that have toxicity. If we're talking about, you know, long-lasting marriages, I'll have a movie that talks about long-lasting marriages, right? With this particular topic, right? It's really a challenge for me to find movies and TV shows that revolve around this topic, right? So here's the two movies that I came up with, okay? And if anybody else can't hear me, let me know. It could be something up with my camera. But here's my here's the two movies. The first movie I came up with was Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and the second movie I came up with was Breakfast at Tiffany's. Now, I have not seen Breakfast at Tiffany's. Great song, by the way, by Deep Blue Something. But I've never seen the movie. So my roommate actually suggested it, and I agree with her. I've heard about it. I don't know enough to talk about it. But I heard that the main character, goes out and has breakfast by themselves, right? So cool. That's about all I know, okay? But what I will talk about is this movie, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Here's a movie where this guy not only goes on a solo date, he goes on a solo vacation, which I freaking love, okay? Goes to Hawaii. It winds up being funny because Sarah, his like celebrity ex-wife, I think ex-wife or ex-girlfriend, I don't remember, is in Hawaii at the same, Miss Timmery says, excellent song in the movie. Absolutely. She's at the same resort. It's funny. Russell Brand is her new boyfriend. It's a funny movie. But, you know, before he lets this whole thing get to him that he's missing his girlfriend, he really does, towards the middle of the movie, start enjoying his time solo, right? He goes to brunch, he goes out and enjoys, a hike, he goes out and enjoys surfing. Like, he does enjoy his time. Eventually, what we find is that, he kind of lets Sarah Marshall and this other girl kind of not get in his head so much, but he places too much emphasis on the women in his life, not, how good of a person he is, and how great he can feel. Victoria says, take yourself on a solo date that lasts a few nights, a solo travel trip, discovering a new place and creating new experiences. I love that. I know you've done that recently, Victoria. I've done that. I haven't done that. Well, you shouldn't say that. I've done that recently. I went to Boulder City. I went to Pahrump. I went to Long Beach. I haven't done Arizona yet, but I'll do that. My favorite solo vacation was I went down to Alabama from New York. I'm now in Vegas. Went down to Alabama and back. Took me about 8 or 9 days. I could have done it in a shorter period of time, but I just enjoyed it, right? It was just a super fun time. I ate by myself. I had a couple of drinks by myself. I really didn't go out on dates. I just kind of went to the bar and I hung out. And I wound up one night, I Tinder swiped with somebody and I said, hey, I'm literally from New York. I'm in for one night. So take that information, what you want. We hung out. It was a cool night. We were going to go to a market the next day. We didn't, but that's fine. That was really the only night that I really spent with somebody. And then I met up with a friend another time, a guy friend of mine. So Miss B. Nicole says, I need to give this a try. I swear by it. I think it's a super important thing to do. I think it's really just a great thing. After the break, we're going to get into my experiences. We're going to get into what the experts say. But I can't say enough about it. And you know what I'll say is you don't feel, how do I say this? I don't want to say this definitively because everyone's going to feel differently, right? But in my experience, I never feel better about myself and who I am than when I'm with myself at a solo date. I never feel better. I typically don't engage in social media at the time. I don't typically answer my text messages. I will post on social media because I'm pretty proud of myself. Hey, taking myself out on a date because I look pretty hot, But that to me is super important, And again, I want to reiterate before we take our break, it's not just the act of going out alone. You can go out alone every night of the week. You can go pick up stuff. You can do errands. You can do whatever you want. You can go to a bar and have a conversation with the bartender. What I'm talking about is going on a date, and we'll talk about what that means. Mana says, I also like it because it reminds you that your time is valuable and you are worth investing in yourself. Super important. I think that's a really, really important thing to acknowledge. Investing that time in yourself, right, is really, I think it's super special. Brittany says, I've never done this. I think you should do it. I think everyone should do it. Even if you're in a relationship, if you're single, if you're seeing someone, do it. Take the time and do it. Enjoy the time by yourself. And I mean that, from planning it, making a reservation if that's what you need, or getting a ticket to a show, to taking a nice, hot shower, as if you're prepping for a date, right? When I do it, right, I probably should have shaved a little better tonight, but normally I'm taking a hot shave. I might even get a haircut that day, maybe a manicure, pedicure. I'm going to work out that day. I'm going on a date, right? So then I set my time that I want to be at the restaurant. I don't just say I don't just leave. I say at 8:00 is my solo date, right? I get dressed. I put on a nice button up. I put on maybe a nice plain t-shirt, some jeans, some shoes, throw some jewelry on. I'll go to one of my favorite spots, like my sushi place. Victoria says going to a movie by yourself is a great start. Great start. And we'll talk about that after the break. I feel funny going to this sushi restaurant by myself because I eat a lot of sushi at this place, and I get every 10th meal I get for free. And it always happens that when I want to go on a solo date, I take out my sushi card and I'm like, shoot, this is the free one. But I don't feel right using my sushi card for a free meal when I'm by myself, because if I'm going to get a free sushi, I should have brought a group with me so that my sushi results in a couple of other meals, right? They're getting some money. So the one time I did it, I wound up ordering a lot of drinks that I don't really drink. I'm not a drinker. I upgraded to premium and I got an upgraded dessert. So I wound up spending more than the free sushi, but I felt it was the right thing to do. I didn't want to take a seat at the table and not pay for my meal. So that's a little, a little snafu with my last solo date that I took. On that note, it's been the 10-minute mark on Instagram. So if you're on Instagram, join us on my Shorby. You can go right to my profile link. It's called Shorby. You can catch us on YouTube or Facebook. We are live for the next 35 minutes. So you've got some time. Come hang out with us. You can just YouTube search. Just search my full name, Christopher Salute Solo Date. You'll find it in a second, or WGSN Solo Date, or Barbershop Solo Date, or Dating Yourself. You'll find it in a second. But I want to thank you so much for your input, and catch us on YouTube. And for those who are watching us on YouTube or Facebook, we will see y'all in a second. We're going to take our quick break. So got to pay some bills, put some commercials on. See y'all in a sec. And we're back. What's going on? You're watching WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio. I'm your host of the Barbershop, Dr. Christopher Salute. You're hanging out with us. We are talking about going on the solo date. The solo date is super important, right? It's talk about dating yourself, right? So if you watch for the first half, I want to thank all the folks who participated. Thanks so much for Mana, Timmery, had some folks on Instagram, some folks on TikTok that hadn't done it before. Super cool. Let's go do it, right? Let's go do it. Go do it. Go on a solo date, right? Super important, right? I want to talk a little bit about kind of my experience with solo dating. Then we're going to talk a bit about what the experts say. Okay, so we touched on it a little bit. I had gone on a solo vacation from New York to Alabama, which was great. Did some things in Boulder City nearby. Had some dinner. Super cool, right? Let me talk about when I started doing it and what it's kind of evolved into. So my first ever solo date, and I mean date, right, was it's embarrassing. If you know me personally, you know I was engaged to she was some sort of personality, and I had a crush on this person for a long time, and the first date we were supposed to go on totally stood me up. Totally just said she was sick, anxious, whatever, couldn't make it. And of course, me, a fool, saw the red flag and wound up taking her out again. But what I had done was I had bought, she said she liked sports, but I found out later she liked men in tight pants. So I said, okay, cool. You like sports? Let's go to, I have rented a batting cage and a driving range down at Pier, Pier 61? Or Pier 19, whatever, down at at the Piers on the west side of Manhattan, and non-refundable. Can't get it back, right? And she tells me she can't go. So now I'm bummed out. This was my shot. I was going to take this girl out. Wound up being fine, but I'm bummed, right? I said, you know what? I'm dressed. Let's do this. Let's go on a date. But I didn't want to go all the way down into the city, which I probably should have done. But forgive me, I was an amateur, right? I say, you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to watch a movie. And I think it was the very first Avengers that had come out. And my sister-in-law had always said, oh, gosh, I go to movies by myself when either your brother's not around or when I just feel like getting out of the house. I said, you know what? Bet. Let's do it. Let's go to a movie by ourselves. I'm dressed up, feeling good, whatever. I have a freaking blast. It's one of my favorite things to go to a movie by myself since then. I truly enjoyed it. I smelled great. I looked great. I got my own popcorn, my own candy. I didn't have to share with anyone. It was awesome. Now, the funny part of this evening, right, is there's this kid, and he is very loud at the movies. And nobody, I don't care, right? I'm just enjoying my time. I really don't. Everyone's looking at me because I'm about a row I'm a row ahead of them. And I'm also alone. And I'm a, middle-aged dude, probably at this point. I'm 30. And they think I'm going to lash out at him and his dad is what I think. That's what I feel, the tension. And I obviously don't do that, right? So he's talking, and he's asking questions, and I actually think it's funny, right? So at one point he says, can anyone beat up the Hulk? To his dad, loud. And I turn around, and everyone's staring at me. And I say to him, I whisper, I go, the only one who can beat up the Hulk is the Red Hulk. Let's talk about it after the movie. Because the Red Hulk is actually a different type of Hulk, and he's a little angry, he's a little stronger, and so he's like one of the Hulk's rivals. I say, let's talk about it after the movie. From that point on, he doesn't talk for the rest of the movie. And my theory is that he sees this adult who treats him like an adult, who doesn't get angry with him for speaking during the movie, but also he's excited to talk about this character with an adult after, and so he's like, all right, let me focus on the movie. I don't know that, maybe he just didn't have anything else to say, but so that was my highlight of that night. And since then I've gone to the movies a lot. I tend to go to the movies when I'm feeling anxious. And the reason is because when I'm feeling anxious, I have to do a couple of things. Like that night I was anxious, right? So when I'm feeling anxious, I'll turn my phone off or at least silence it or put it in my pocket, and I go to the movies, and you're in the movie theater for about 3 hours by yourself. And the anxieties that you have for me, they go away. Because your focus, for me, I'm a writer. I love being immersed in that magical place of movies that are untrue, mythical, whatever. And so I enjoy that experience. So it was fun. Within the first time it happened, I was upset that, that we didn't get to go on this date. And by the time I opened my phone back, she had apologized very genuinely and said, let's go out next weekend. I'm really sorry. Can we just do something a little bit more low key? Sure. Cool. So since then, I've done that a lot. So that's one way that I'll date myself. Other types of dates. I mean, I was recently in Denver / Fort Collins. I was seeing some folks that I'm pretty close with, and I kind of had Friday by myself. Everyone was working or doing whatever. So I said, you know what? I said, I got to return this rental car downtown anyway. Let's go on a date, right? So again, I dress up. I pack a bag with a laptop in case I feel like I need to look anything up after, because it's going to be a couple of hours, if I want to get coffee later. And I go to this pub. I asked around, and I go to this pub. It's called My Brother's Bar. I think My Brother's Bar or My Brother's Pub. And the person who told me to go, they go to my brother's bar. I go, awesome. What's your brother's name? I'll say I know you, not like to get anything, but because I'm supporting you. And they go, no, it's just the name of the place. So I was like, oh, okay. So go to My Brother's Bar. And I get their like famous burger that's supposed to be this big burger, and I sit by myself, and they checked in on me. I'm not a drinker, so I got a Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, whatever they served, and I enjoyed a date by myself. It was beautiful. I sat at a table. I enjoyed my time. I didn't look at my phone the whole time. I did take a photo of the burger, and then I put it back, and it was just really nice. I was dressed nice. I looked great, whatever. And I said, I took a picture of myself. I posted it a day or two later and said, you can't hurt me. I go to dinner by myself, like, in other words, I know what it's like to be alone. I know what it's like to be by myself. You can't take anything away from me. So that's another type of date I'll typically do. I do a lot of solo sushi dinner dates. I also do a lot of solo buffet dates. And I'll touch on that for a second. If you've watched my show before, I do suffer from binge eating. It is without a doubt. I mean, it's an eating disorder. I should just call it what it is. I'm trying to curb it. What I would do would be to binge and then starve myself for a day or two after, or I was addicted to ephedra and laxatives and some pretty bad stuff. Not a good feeling. So sometimes for me, going to a buffet, I'm not necessarily ready to share that kind of. I eat a lot. It's the one time where I'm just, this is what we're doing tonight. I'm going to eat a lot. And it's not always something that I share right away with a partner or something like that, because I need to feel a certain level of comfort before you see me eat that much. It's a bit embarrassing. So when I go to the buffet, I'll sometimes take myself on a solo date again. And here's the cool part. Look, do I love buffeting with friends? Yeah. Do I love buffeting with a partner when I'm comfortable? Yeah. But here's the cool thing. You're not on anybody's timeline when you buffet alone. You don't have to wait for them to finish their soup to get up and get the food. And look, nobody forces me to wait. I'm not saying that, but being polite dictates you wait a second, where all I want to do is go back and get some more crab, or get dessert or, whatever it is. So it's a good time. A couple other solo dates that I tend to do. I love doing a cooking solo date. Now, this is kind of counter to what I said earlier, where I said, well, you should really go out and enjoy, your time out, right? Okay. But if you're what I meant was getting out of the habit of doing whatever you're doing, just doing it alone, crafting, reading, watching TV, right? Those are things that you enjoy doing, but what I mean is treating yourself. So when I say cooking, I don't mean just cooking yourself dinner. What I mean is cooking yourself a nice steak, lobster, burger, chicken salad, whatever, right? Whatever makes you feel good, right? And enjoying it in a way that is date-like. Maybe putting on a movie that you haven't seen, not TV, putting on a movie, like an actual feature movie. Maybe even getting a DVD from the library, which is free, right? I'm old now, right? Or, not watching TV at all, putting on some music, whatever, sitting at the dining room table or sitting on the couch, if that's what you prefer, putting out some chips, the whole nine, you got a cooking date going on. And really truly enjoying it, getting dressed, and maybe you just put on a nice shirt after you're done cooking. I get it. You just cooked all day, whatever, but not putting on your sweatpants. You know what I mean? Like really enjoying your time. And again, not a lot of phone, enjoying the food, enjoying the process, enjoying the time. That to me is taking yourself on a solo date. So those are the types of solo dates that I tend to go on. Now, look, are there other types of solo dates? Yeah, absolutely. I've got 2 articles that I pulled up here. One is Leisure Hacker, a beginner's guide to dating yourself, and we'll get to that in a second. But the one that I want to start with is, now this is called lesbionics.com. Now, I'm not familiar with this, but I've got it's a space for queer people of color. So I'm obviously not a queer person of color, but I don't think you need to be a queer person of color to enjoy this article, which is 10 solo dates that don't suck. So I think that's appropriate. So the first one they say is go to the movies. 100%. We've talked about that. Don't miss that concert. Go to the concert by yourself. Love that. Number 3, sit courtside. But between the concert and the courtside, I've done that. I have a free ticket app that I pay. Well, I paid for it. I pay yearly, and I could download any tickets I want that are on the app. So if I want to see something, I go see it. I don't even wait. I'm just go see it. Right. We'll take a break because Timmery has a comment. It's also excellent if you're a creative person to find inspiration in people watching. As a writer, I did that often, but find myself having a great time being among people. It's great for your mood. That's true too. I've gone to Fremont by myself, right? I recommend not scrolling on your phone as your ear either. I 1000% agree with you. Do not be on your phone. Don't. Enjoy the space. You went out so that you're not sitting on your phone. You know what I'm saying? It's like that movie, You've Got Mail, and Greg Kinnear, right? Is that his name? Something Kinnear. His character says, "What's the point of having a VCR?" Well, the whole point of going out is to miss what's on television. So why do I have a VCR to record things, right? So I thought that was kind of cool. Number 4, sip and paint. I think that's cute too, just doing a solo sip and paint. Number 5, open mic night. That would scare the heck out of me, but maybe I'll do it. I got some spoken word on my brain I need to talk about. Explore a farmer's market. I've definitely done that. Have a relaxing spa day. I've totally done that. Definitely done manicure, pedicure by myself. It's beautiful. Getting a massage. Find your muse. The museum is another awesome solo date. I don't think I've done a museum by myself, but I totally would. Soak up the sun, go to the beach, just enjoy the sun, take a hike. Love it. I mean, to me, I don't know if taking a hike for me is a solo date as much as it's just enjoying myself solo, but whatever. Let's call it a date. That's cool too. I guess it depends on your mindset, right? If you say it's a date, it's a date. If you say I'm going hiking, you're going hiking, right? So then we've got this other great article by Leisure Hacker, A Beginner's Guide to Dating Yourself. And I think it's kind of cool the way they approach it as well. Number 1, they start with, so why not, right? I consider myself a pretty independent person. I've never done it before, so why haven't I done it, right? Then they say, all by myself? Actually, in today's 24/7 connected world, it seems finding solitude has become a lost art. Agreed. So yeah, we go places by ourselves all the time, the grocery store, the mall. But when was the last time you actually took a date? And I agree with that. That's what we say. So then it says, why me? Step outside your comfort zone, right? Benefits of spending time alone. Dating yourself will help you connect with who you are. I love it. Most importantly, it's declaring yourself to the world that you're taking care of yourself. I think that's brilliant. Here we go. 4 basic tips to the how. This is the meat of the article, right? Number 1. Set a time, and Cece, if you can keep that up for a second, I'll read Timmery's comment in a second. Number 1, set a time, dedicate a specific day. Number 2, plan. Number 3, get ready. Number 4, enjoy. So it's not just about going out, right? What it's about is going out and enjoying that time as if you were dating. Pro tip, if it's your first time and you're afraid it might feel a little awkward, come prepared by bringing a book, journal, and magazine. Try not to go to your default cell phone staring. You can do that back home. I love that. Okay. And then they go with 10 fun dates you can do by yourself. So number 1, take yourself to lunch or dinner. It's a very similar list. 2, see a movie. 3, go outside. 4, watch the sunrise or sunset. I love that. I'm part of the Sunrise Club. My life coach invented it, so I definitely am part of it. Bookstore, cafe, museum, picnic. What else? Give yourself a little makeover. That's cute. Stay home alone. Like I said, see, it still could be a date, or go on a trip. Also super cool. So, Cece, I don't know if you can put Timmery's comment back up, or if I can. Let me see if I can read it. Oh, here we go. I've gone to a museum alike, and it's so relaxing, or alone and so relaxing, but it leaves you open to have discussions with others at the exhibit so you meet new people. I think that's a great idea. Now, I guess I don't know. Is your goal, and tell me what you think, right? Is your goal, when you go on a solo date, to interact with other people, or is your goal to be solo? See, my goal when I go out on a solo date is to go out by myself and to be by myself. But yeah, I guess interacting with other people alone is cool, right? I had a solo date a couple of years ago. I went and got sushi, which is one of my go-tos. And when I get there, there's like another big Italian dude sitting by himself, and he's eating sushi by himself. And I walk in, and he like stares at me, and I stare back at him. And we didn't say it, but there was this unspoken like, bro, there's only one lonely Italian dude sitting eating sushi. and it's not going to be you. It's going to be me. And so he wound up leaving in a little bit after he enjoyed his sushi, and I got the rest of the night there. But it was funny. It was like just kind of a funny thing. Tim Marie says, it's not the goal to speak to somebody, but it's a pleasant benefit if it happens. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I totally agree. I've done that a lot when I'm out traveling. So when I was traveling for business specifically, I would do that often where I'd go to the bar, I'd go out to dinner, and then I would tend to meet folks who were in that kind of same capacity. Maybe they were traveling, maybe they were, they were on some solo time together for work or whatever. And so, I think that can be fun to meet other solos, right? And kind of share that experience, right? So that's cool. I mean, it's kind of like going on a date. You're meeting somebody new, So here's how I want to close the show. I have learned a lot of folks throughout this evening have not taken themselves out on a solo date. So if you're watching, this is what I do with my coaches when I'm coaching someone, okay? I can't shake the professor in me. So I give everyone homework, okay? I just do. Before my next check-in, we're going to have some homework, okay? So, and I see Manna had commented. We'll read that in a second. Here's your homework assignment, like when I coach. Take yourself on a solo date, okay? Don't just eat by yourself. Go out, get ready, treat yourself as if you're going on a date, but go out by yourself. Enjoy that process. And what I'd like to do is if you're one of my coaching clients, great, you can get back to me. If not, feel free to DM me, feel free to message me, email me if you want. You can find my information on all my links, right? Tell me how it felt. Tell me, I want to know, for you, I know, but I want you to tell me. Tell me how it felt to get prepared, to pick a time, the anticipation of the date, right? All that stuff, the going out, the enjoying the date, yada, 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 and then how it felt after. And I've got some theories on what it's going to feel like, but you know what? I want you to enjoy that process by yourself. Manna says, museum is fun. I've also done theater shows, spontaneous overnight trips, camping or out of town, and local events. Super cool. I totally love that. I admire that about you, Manna. That's fantastic. So on that note, what have we learned tonight? We've learned that there really is a large amount of people who have not gone on a solo date. And at the same time, there's a bunch of folks who have. I want to say that this show is brought to you by the Whimsy app, by That Professor Life Coaching, and by Bold Media and Bold Holdings. We own Bold Magazine, Fabulous Magazine, Strutter Magazine, as well as Bold Brand Management and Bold Solutions, our brand new consulting firm. So I want to really thank everyone for their comments, thank everyone for their energy. I can't do this show without folks actually listening and commenting and doing all the great things that you do. So I truly value you giving me your hour or 45 minutes of your time. And I mean that. I'm not just saying that so you come back. I'm saying that because I want you to know that. This is one of the highlights of my week. It's one of the best parts of my day. I look forward to this all day. It truly is a blessing. I don't know, to be able to coach, share, educate, talk to others about my mistakes, my learnings, and how I can help other folks do it. So I really do. If you listen tonight, whether it be to this show or this show and CC and my show, I really want to thank you for adding that value to my day. That being said, you have just finished watching WGSN-DB, Going Solo Network Radio. You have watched the Going Bold Network. This is the men's network just for men. And of course, we welcome women as well. I really want to thank you for watching Dr. Christopher Salutes the Barbershop. It's just been a great time hanging out with y'all. Please do your homework. Take yourself out on a solo date. You're not going to regret it. I want to thank you again for your time. And that was the Barbershop. Cut.